Stanford University.
Well, it's great to see everyone here this morning, despite BART doing their best to prevent some people from getting here. So we'll start anyway, because we have a pretty full program, and we'd like to get through it. I know that our faculty presenters have some great stuff to show you, and I don't want to take any of their time. Just thought we'd do a few things. First, I want to acknowledge the presence of our advisory council, the Woods Institute Advisory Council. Thank you all for being here. Also like to acknowledge the presence of some of the trustees of the university who are here as well. And so thank you for being here, and of course all to you, the people that graciously accepted our invitation to share in this day. Now, if this goes well, and we think it will, then you should be sure to go and tell Bill Patterson that it went really well, because this is really his idea. Bill's idea was to have this kind of salon, this kind of gathering, where we could talk about the work we're doing and get you all engaged and get some really important feedback as to what we're doing. If it goes badly, then you can come and tell me. But I think you'll all be talking to Bill a little later, hopefully, right? Okay, so let me just give you a little history as to how we got here. Right from the get-go, as you know, Woods celebrated its 5th anniversary not so long ago. And right from the get-go, when the Woods Institute, or the Stanford Institute for the Environment, as it was then known, was formed, freshwater was right at the core of what we wanted to do. We had great strength in freshwater at Stanford, a number of departments and individuals who had worked both in the policy realm as well as in the technology and the science realm on freshwater issues. So we knew we had great strength. The question was how to marshal it and how to do something that was really unique and different and that could really contribute to finding solutions to the world's freshwater challenges. And by the world, we meant California as well as the broader globe. We started out from the beginning. We were very fortunate that we got some excellent support to work on river restoration, dam deconstruction, sediment issues. And we started that work right from the beginning, and we graciously acknowledge that support. And then we also had a number of environmental ventures projects, which we started, all of them with the hallmark and the trademark that they were on finding solutions. These were not just your typical academic research projects, but each and every one of them had to point to a particular solution to a problem. And a lot of the work that was done in the environmental ventures projects actually has manifested itself and shown up, and you will see today the results of that. So we like what happened, because it was a good investment, because it produced the kind of result that hopefully you will all appreciate today. However, for us that wasn't satisfying. We felt like we needed something bigger and more compelling and more cohesive and synthetic. And so we started a few years ago, we had a little RFP internal, and we called for some planning grants and awarded some planning grants for people to work on larger, more strategic collaborations. And by that we mean, what do we mean by that? We mean interdisciplinary set of faculty coming together, but most importantly, working with outside stakeholders and decision makers, focusing on real-world problems and finding solutions. So this had to be more than just an environmental ventures project, had to be more than just sort of an individual research effort. It had to be collaborative, it had to be interdisciplinary, it had to be real world, it had to be about finding solutions. So we launched this little competition. We got a number of different proposals. And in the end, we consulted with a number of people. We had 8 uncommon dialogues where we invited people like yourselves who are in the freshwater sector of different kinds, and we talked to you, we listened to you, we took your advice, we tried to identify what the core issues were. And in the end, we were left with 3 very compelling programs that we'd like to tell you a little bit about today. The first, the Joint Program on Water in the West, and it's joint because it's jointly sponsored by the Bill Lane Center for the American West. The second, the Global Freshwater Initiative, and the third, the Program on Water Health and Development. So we're going to give you a little touch, a little bit of insight into each of these 3, and we're also going to add something as well. As I said right at the beginning, we started, some of the first work that was done at Woods and Freshwater was on river restoration, dam deconstruction, sediment issues, and so we're going to hear about that as well today. So this is just to give you a flavor of the people that are involved around the campus on these projects. You can see Buzz there. That's a very youthful Buzz, I can see. Yeah. But I just wanted to emphasize, some of you might recognize some of the people. The range of disciplines and schools, I think almost every school at Stanford, almost every school, is represented. We have geographers, we have environmental engineers, we have hydrogeologists, we have Pulitzer Prize winner historians, we have ecologists, we have food resource economists, we have lawyers, geospatial analysts. It's an amazing array of people, and that's just internal to Stanford. Then there's a whole array of outside stakeholders and decision makers outside of Stanford, as well as people from other universities. The University of California is prominent in some of the California issues. So it's been very, very, good in sort of building this up. Buzz just pointed out to me this morning one of the great outcomes of all these conversations we've had and the reach that we had in talking to the right set of people is that the Department of Interior actually have recognized this and invited us to be keynote speakers at some of their events and things like that. So clearly, Buzz was just in Utah talking to the University of Utah Law Center at a conference, and the governor of Utah now has invited Buzz to be an advisor on freshwater issues in the state of Utah. So I think we're beginning to get some penetration on these things, and it's very exciting. So let me then turn to our first topic, and I'm going to spend a little time introducing this just to set the context because it is big. The Joint Program on Water in the West, as we said, is joint between the Bill Lane Center and the Woods Institute, and really has three components. We can't talk about all three components today. I apologize. The first, the two that we will not be talking about in detail, but will certainly at future freshwater salons, is the one on integrated groundwater management. And the second part of it is metrics for sustainable water system. So integrated groundwater management will have a science part about how to characterize the freshwater resource, groundwater resource that we have more accurately so we can make better decisions. But more importantly, it has a very substantive institutional and law part looking at conjunctive use of groundwater and surface water resources, looking at how we use things like groundwater banking in order to manage the freshwater resources that we have. So that is going to be a big part of what we do, a very big part of what we do, and we're going to get going very quickly on that, and you'll be hearing more about that in the weeks ahead. The second part is something that is a little different. It's coming up with metrics for sort of measuring and assessing how well we're doing. If we want to do actually have freshwater reform in, say, the state of California or in the West, how will we know that we're actually doing a good job? How will we know that we're even having an impact? How will we know, how will the reformers even know that what they're doing is making a difference? So we have to come up with ways of measuring it. We have to come ways of reporting that so that it's accessible, easy to understand, and can make a difference in people's attitudes and change their behavior. That is a really important part of what we want to do. So that's the second part of the Joint Program on Water in the West, the metrics for sustainable water systems. The third part is, which you're going to hear about right now, so this is a very long introduction for Craig Criddle. It's about water reuse and reclamation, and I'm not going to tell you anything more about that, other than just to briefly introduce Craig. Now, you'll find out that Craig is quite a multi-talented fellow. In addition to his work as an environmental engineer, he also authored the Cartoon Guide to Chemistry. Now, I can guarantee you, if I had the Cartoon Guide to Chemistry when I was in high school, I would have probably enjoyed chemistry a whole lot more than I did. I didn't like chemistry at all. Craig and some of his co-researchers, Sarah Billington is the inventor of fake wood, faux wood, which we've all heard about, and he can tell you about biodegradable plastics. And so he is actually one of my colleagues in civil and environmental engineering, and he's going to talk about how we can transform, I think he's going to talk about it, our sewage treatment plants into resource recovery centers. And he's going to talk about how we're going to take a 21st century approach to water reuse and reclamation, or used to be known as water supply and sanitation. So please welcome Craig. Thank you very much.
For more, please visit us at stanford.edu.